to the last newsletter of the term. I've enjoyed the time away, but it's always good to get back to work and reconnect with colleagues and students. I'd like to acknowledge the terrific leadership of Lisa Pope and John Mitchell in their respective roles as Principal and Deputy Principal during my absence. The TIME project has been a really significant project that's been underway for over 3 years. And one of the final stages has been communication to the broader community, and that's taken place in recent weeks. The management and implementation of change within any organisation is always challenging, and I've really admired the way that Lisa and the leadership team have been clear and fulsome in their communication with families regarding the timetable initiatives to be implemented in 2024. Viewing what's happening at school through a similar lens to that which you use each week is an interesting exercise. I've been reading newsletters, receiving emails, reading social media. I've checked the website, and of course, I've read the newspapers. I must confess to having had the odd chuckle at some of the headlines. Just for the record, just in case you saw and believed the headlines and some social media commentary, we're not reverting to remote learning next year. We're not changing to a 4-day week, appetising and all as it might sound. And we're not reducing the amount of tuition or access to teachers that students will be receiving. In simple terms, the changes for next year build in variability and flexibility to student programs, and that is in increasing degrees as students move through the school. I have every confidence that these changes will do great things for enhancing the ability of our graduates to excel in their post-secondary ambitions. During my time away, I had the privilege of visiting the community at Kenseka in Uganda. Most of the local people are joyful and welcoming, and they radiate hope, despite the fact that many, or probably most, live in the most appalling conditions. Most are subsistence farmers. They eat what they grow. HIV infection is a reality for over 50% of adults. Government services, even the most basic, are barely existent. For example, a 7-hour trip to get there on some really dreadful roads from Kampala into the township of Manya, on roads that just defy belief. That trip used to take about 3.5 to 4 hours. 2 decades ago, children from this area gathered under a tree and received some basic instruction from an unqualified person who taught them, in inverted commas. A generation later, for zero or minimum payment, or in some families' case, a minimum in-kind donation of either labour or food, students can attend and complete primary school. After our initial support for and resourcing of the primary school in Kenseka, the Cotton On Foundation is now its primary financial support. But today, students who wish can continue on to secondary school by attending St Joseph's Vocational Secondary School, Kenseka. They can learn to lay bricks, they can learn to make clothes. They receive tuition from teachers who we pay in classrooms that we've built on land that we've purchased, and they enjoy a meal each day which we help provide. So together, we, that is the community of St Joseph's Geelong, are the source of hope for this community. It was a real privilege to visit, and on behalf of our friends in the Kenseka community, I want to convey their most sincere thanks for your ongoing generosity. I also had the privilege of attending a gathering of the leaders of Edmund Rice schools and communities from across the globe, which was held in Dublin. There are vast differences in the places where these schools and communities exist. Some are in affluent areas in wealthy countries and provide education for children from really well-off families. Many more are from communities like Kenseka, but the vast majority, including us, are somewhere in between. We have in common the commitment to gospel values interpreted through the lens of Blessed Edmund Rice, which of course has a particular focus on caring for and educating those most in need. I was disappointed to miss the annual reunions coordinated by our Old Collegians Association a couple of weeks ago. However, I was delighted to meet with a small group of Old Collegians who are based in the United States. I'm very grateful for the welcome and hospitality of David Collard from the class of 2002, who generously hosted the gathering. David's also a significant supporter of the college bursary program and our developing student entrepreneur program. During recent weeks, there's been some anxiety as to whether the state government changes to payroll tax and related imposts of the state COVID debt levy and state mental health and wellbeing surcharge, and whether these will apply to St Joseph's. I'm pleased to confirm that as a result of our all-inclusive fee being around $6,500, which is well below the implementation threshold, these additional taxes will not apply. We've commenced the task of building a budget for the 2024 school year, and we know there will be some additional expenses as a result of changes to the multi-enterprise agreement, particularly those changes relating to a reduction in face-to-face teaching hours and the provision of time in lieu for outside hours activities, including camps. As always, we will remain committed to maintaining our fees at the lowest possible level while still ensuring we continue to provide an excellent education for each student. God bless.